They're so much nicer than you could possibly think. I'm one of the few people that has been in the new Denza vehicles. BYD's not slowing down. They've just confirmed that in November this year, in a few weeks' time, the luxury arm of BYD, otherwise known as Denza, will officially be launching in Australia with two plug-in hybrid SUVs, the Denza B5 and the Denza B8. Both kind of similar, both really, really nice and very swanky. These aren't budget electric vehicles at all, like the Dolphin or the Atto 3, so you definitely can't go buy them for $40,000. They're ladder-framed, off-road capable SUVs built to take on the Toyota Land Cruiser, I nearly said Lardo, Prado and Land Cruiser. So let's look into what is coming. The Denza B5, obviously it's roughly a Prado-sized 5-seater SUV built on BYD's DMO platform. Underneath it, it uses a 1.5 litre petrol turbo engine paired with dual electric motors and a Blade battery pack of around 31.8 kilowatt hours. Combined output as well for all that together is about 677 horsepower and 760 newton meters of torque. And BYD claims it can do 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 4.8 seconds. So that's kind of like, roughly, it's like an Aston Martin DB. Is it 7 or DB9 from, I don't know, 15 years ago or something? Yeah, pretty quick. So that's definitely supercar quick for something aimed at a Prado buyer. I think that's a pretty new thing for them, I reckon. So the EV only range is expected to be about 100 kilometer range, and they can do all their daily driving in the city, go to pick your kids up from school, go buy some bread, stuff like that. And it can also do over 900 kilometers WLTP total range if you just want to use a tank of fuel and use all the battery basically when you get there. Inside the B5, it comes with BYD's 15.6-inch rotating screen, that gimmicky screen. I have no idea why they still do this rotating screen thing. Does anybody ever use it once you've bought it? Just once or twice to show the kids or something, and then you sack it off and never touch it again. And all the off-road kit that you kind of expect, low-range gearing, for example, locking differentials, adjustable suspension. Step up to the Denza B8 if you've got a few extra dollars, and things get pretty serious. This is the one that's sized directly against the Land Cruiser 300 and the Nissan Patrol. It's over 5.1 metres long with 2,920mm wheelbase, seating for 7 people, and it also runs a ladder frame body with proper 4x4 hardware with it. And it has a 2-litre petrol turbo engine with twin electric motors and a 36.8, so slightly bigger, kilowatt hour Blade battery. And the total power, again, is 550 kilowatts, 760 newton meters of torque, and same speed, basically, to 100 kilometers per hour, 4.8 seconds. And it has active suspension with up to 310 millimeters of ground clearance and front, center, and rear different locking diffs. Wading depth is almost a meter, actually, which is pretty crazy. And inside, it steps up again with a 17.3-inch central screen, dual passenger displays, and a 50-inch augmented reality head-up display and premium audio. So you've got a 50-inch augmented reality head-up display, which is pretty cool, and I can tell you it's definitely pretty cool in real life. And the only thing I'm not really a big fan of is having a screen in front of the passenger seat. I don't really buy into that. I think if you're a passenger in a car, you don't want anything. I don't like lights or buttons or screens. I just want to be a passenger and be chauffeured around. It's one of the few times in life you can feel like a king, so it's pretty cool. Now let's just put it into context. In China, the B5 is priced at, surprisingly, I don't think it's as cheap as what you expect when we talk about the Dolphin or the Seagull or anything like that. They're really, really cheap compared to what we see. I don't think there's going to be the biggest difference. There'll be a much narrower gap here. So in China, the B5 is priced at around the equivalent of 61 to 75,000 Australian dollars. The bigger B8, the more expensive one, is about 80 to 86,000 when you compare it, when you change it to Australian dollars. Australian pricing, obviously, not yet confirmed, but if BYD can kind of get anywhere close to that, then these vehicles are obviously going to undercut the competition majorly. So I think the thing is, and I would love it if the Australians watching here could say if I'm correct or not here with you, with my observation as someone who's not been in Australia for many years. But you've got kind of two types of Australian 4x4 driver. You've got the city accountant or business owner in the city who tends to have a snorkel on the front, and every year they might go to a local island and then go on the beach, obviously. Then you've got the old blokes out in rural Australia. I know I've got some who watch, obviously. They're just different to city people, you know? No mucking around, they'll get stuff done. They've got a penknife and a rope always with them just to get stuff done. And they also drag people out of ditches. In the last 12 months, I've seen 2 people being stuck on the side of the road and some Aussie bloke in a ute helping. And they will, as far as I can tell, always keep their 4x4 until it's basically rotting through and it's literally falling to pieces. They will probably not be buying an electric 4x4. I just don't think, from what I can tell, having spent a bit of time in certain parts of Australia outside of the cities, I don't think that it's going to work for a lot of the old blokes there. But I know some of you are rural and you are buying like the Zeekr, for example. So I think a lot of people see the benefit because there's such big distances to cover. You can basically just have solar panels on your house, charge it up, and do 300,000 kilometres and save a lot of money in diesel. The people who live out bush can save the most money, and I think when you are driving around doing big distances, if I was a farmer in South Australia, for example, I would get a Zeekr 7X. Here's what they're up against right now. The Land Cruiser, the Toyota Land Cruiser 300 series, that starts at around $96,000 or $97,000. That runs all the way up to $145,000 before on-road costs. The Nissan Patrol, that is around 90 to 106,000 Aussie dollars. The new Land Cruiser Prado 250 series is around 72 to 82, I believe. And that's a lot of money, but they've also got to pay for fuel and servicing for the next 300, 400, 500,000 kilometers. Even the smaller Outlander plug-in hybrid, which is a unibody crossover, that can go up to like $74,000 if you get it's like a sporty one, but it's not sporty. And if you want something premium like a plug-in hybrid Lexus RX, for example, you're looking at like 120. So that's huge money. The B5, B8, they could definitely take a big chunk of the market here, and they will sit neatly between the Prado and the Land Cruiser, and they've got supercar level performance, and they can do big ranges. So obviously it's a big deal, but you don't forget you can still drive 900 kilometers without stopping, which for a lot of people in rural Australia, that's the win. Like, they don't really always want to be thinking about charging of a battery. Sometimes just chucking petrol in for a lot of these people, I think that's a big win. These are plug-in hybrids with about 100 kilometers of range, just electric. So you can just use the battery, drive for 100 kilometers every day if you want. That means that basically you can do your school run, pick your kids up from school, that sort of stuff, buy some bread again. But when you head out touring, like you say, you go from Melbourne to Brisbane, something like that, or the Snowy Mountains, you can just do that. And I think that in Australia actually makes a lot of sense for a lot of people, because I think when you put the landmass of Australia on top of Europe, it consumes basically all of Europe, and I think it kind of spills over into Russia. It's a really big country. But there's just, sometimes you can go 2 hours and see nothing. Nobody, no cars, nothing. It's just a long road. Maybe a couple of kangaroos or something. Hello, folks. Ben Alexxander here. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm very thrilled that you're here, and I appreciate you're all watching my videos a lot these days. So that's really nice. This is a big one, because it's not just another affordable BYD. It's not just a little cheap car, but in Australia, this is a very big deal. This is kind of like a way of life, I think. And this is them. This is BYD moving bang into the middle, right into the heart of Australian culture, I think. And it's not a Hilux, it's not a Ford Ranger, but they're getting there. They're pretty close. The Prado, the Land Cruiser, they're a big deal in Australia. I really like the fact that vehicles like this do feel in real life like a living room on wheels. That's pretty compelling. Like, you'd have to be an utter plonker not to really like that. That's a pretty cool thing. I think it's appealing, especially if you are doing long trips, and sometimes you just don't want to feel all the bumps, and you just want to avoid everything at all costs. That was one of the things I thought was very good about the Zeekr 7X. When you drive it with the air suspension, it's pretty good. It feels good on normal roads, but when you hit bumps, it gets rid of the bump. And it's weirdly good. It's very, very good. And I think Bentleys do the same sort of thing, and they do a similarly good job. Bentleys are very, very good at that. But I've only been in a couple of Bentleys. I'm not you know, I don't have a Bentley. Yeah, think about it. The Outlander plug-in hybrid was our only real plug-in hybrid SUV choice for a couple of years there. If BYD brings the Denza B5 at, say, 75, something like that, that's kind of a Prado rival, isn't it? With more power, and it's more, it will be nicer, be quieter, be smoother. If they bring the Denza B8 for, say, 95, something like that, or even 100, that's Land Cruiser and patrol territory, I think, but with air suspension, locking diffs, 900 millimeter wading depth, so it's 900 and a bit millimeters, I think it is. If the pricing is good, they're going to do very, very well. This is going to really worry Toyota, Nissan, and Lexus, and that will potentially make them lower their prices. So if you actually want a Prado, but you're interested in electric cars or hybrids, just simply by having those there in the market means that, you know, Toyota might knock off $5,000 for the Prado or something like that. So, yeah, this is what we like to see. A bit of a price war. It's not quite a price war, though, is it? But it is. It's going to alter things a little bit, I suspect. If I had to choose between any of the common vehicles that we see in this category, it would just be, without much thought, a Denza, because I've seen them. I know exactly how pucker they are in real life. I mean, they're really, 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 really nice. It's kind of like when you go in a Range Rover for the first time and you just know they're really, really good. I mean, Range Rovers break down all the time, obviously. I think they're like the second or second most least reliable car or something like that. But they're really nice to look at and to sit in as a passenger just for a little trip if you're not paying for it. And yeah, the other smart move, I think, is the branding. BYD didn't bring over a Fang Cheng Bao or a Yang Wang, names that, to be quite honest, if we're being frank about it, they don't really work in English, and you'll sound like a right plonker if you go to a party or something like that, and you're in someone's backyard, and you're like, yeah, I've just spent $100,000 on a Fang Cheng Bao. It's not going to work, I don't think. And they've gone with Denza, which I think is a very clean, simple, easy to say name. I think it's actually quite good. I think a lot about that brand actually is very, very good. When you look on the website, the look and the feel, when you look at the vehicles in real life, kind of reminds me of the old partner, obviously, for Toyota. And B5 and B8, those sound familiar to Australians because we're obviously used to alphanumeric naming from BMW, Audi, Lexus, to name a couple. It's just easy to remember, you know, an R1, R2, R8, something like that. And it just kind of feels premium. It's quite nice. And I think you might have noticed as well, Apple just brought the iPhone 16 out, and also Xiaomi have their phones, and they've also been sort of trailing them. So you've got the Apple 50, iPhone 15, 16, and they're at 16, I think, now. Xiaomi have also done a similar thing. They've got 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, but because Apple just came out with the 16, Xiaomi have now just skipped the 16 and gone to the 17, so they've got bigger number. Wow. Well, that's a way to dominate, honestly. So, yeah, the way I see it, BYD is about to expand their footprint here in a big way. I wouldn't surprise me if BYD is a massive deal in 10 years in Australia, in the same way that right now Toyota is. These types of vehicles, a massive deal here in Australia, like I've said. They already cover the budget end with the Dolphin, the Seagull, the mid-range as well with the Atto 3 and the Seal. And now they're kind of taking aim at this high-end, like the heart of the culture sort of vehicles, like SUVs and 4x4s, and obviously you've got the Shark as well, which has done really, really well. So, yeah, no other brand is moving that fast in Australia, frankly. And I don't think there's another brand moving that quick in Europe either. It's a big deal. What do you reckon? If you had a choice between, like right now, if someone was just going to give you, because they're an idiot, and they're just going to give you a car that's like $100,000, a Prado, a Land Cruiser, or a Denza B5, or a Denza B8, what would you pick? Put it in the comments. Just simply put B8, B5. Just say what you'd get. Would you trust BYD to take you around Australia for like a 6-day family road trip or something like that? In the same way that a lot of people have trusted Toyota with some of their diesel utes, and they've done big family road trips and that sort of stuff? Or would you have an issue that it would get you stuck somewhere in the middle of the mountains? What are your thoughts? What are your concerns? Please let me know in the comments. Everybody seems to read the comments these days. Weirdly, people who comment on my videos, generally, they're really quite chipper people. I really like that. There's a lot of buddy-ish stuff going on. So someone says something, then somebody else says something else to that, and then somebody else like, yeah, buddy. I really like that, honestly. There's very little slating going on or criticism. It's really nice. And yeah, so have at it in the comments, say anything you like, and thank you for watching. I really, really appreciate it.